Now, how do you get started with advanced work packaging? I wanted to share this research with you, which was published by CII about the various journeys on advanced work packaging. And I would like to emphasize this because through through Concord's work, helping clients pilot and start an advanced work packaging implementation, it is a journey. This is not a tool that you procure and buy and now we're advanced work packaging compliant, or now we're doing AWP. And I would like to actually mention, for especially contractors that tend to be involved in any bidding where, let's say, qualification questions are asked about advanced work packaging, it's really not a good idea to say you're doing it when you're not doing it. Because more and more owners are mature about this and they can identify when somebody's actually mature or not in AWP. The right way of approaching this is looking at it as a journey, identifying your gaps, and defining a plan to get you to the best practice on some of the key components, and then showing that there is the willingness actually, and the leadership and the motivation and the resources to get to that predictable outcome. And through that transformation, there is nothing better than a win-win situation, right? Where people are working collaboratively on a construction project, independently of the contracting strategy, to achieve success. I actually mentioned this times ago. I'm a soccer fan, but I tend to say if your team loses, doesn't matter if you were a good player or you had great moves, we lost. And so it's the same thing for project. If engineering does well, doesn't matter if the project ended up being a mess. What we care about is success, and everybody will take the credit. And I added this information here for people to actually know about some of the metrics, because that's a recurrent and frequent question about what to expect. Please know that these are indicative. So every company is different. I've seen companies that from the very first implementation, they really make the project on time. But I've seen also projects where they're slightly in delay, but it is definitely a learning process. So where to get started on advanced work packaging? I like this quote from Albert Einstein, and that says, assumptions are made and most assumptions are wrong. So I can tell you, I've spent years developing and researching about advanced work packaging. Then when I started piloting advanced work packaging, as a matter of fact, I realized that there were assumptions I was making that were wrong, and we needed to adjust and improve. And I'm quite sure that until today, in our journeys, looking at advanced work packaging for, site-based projects, looking at advanced work packaging for, new industries. I mean, recently, for about a year, we've been working on looking at AWP into the AEC industry and working with clients around that. We just realized that we can't remain imprisoned in a way into our assumptions. We need to keep an open mind into making them work for the project and the company and the context. And so the best way to do that is training. Please do not fall under the assumption that advanced work packaging is just packaging work. That's not what it is. And the best way to start there is read a lot of free resources that we publish. Concord invests into weekly publication and a quarterly publication that is open, free. It has a lot of the knowledge about advanced work packaging, so read about it. And also get trained and get your teams trained so that you do not assume things about advanced work packaging. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to share with you some of the lessons learned here, and we'll leave about, then open up for questions. But the very first lesson learned is that you will not get it right the first time, because this is not a pass and fail concept. And no two implementations are the same, although there are standards and we build a standard methodology. But during your first implementation, you will make mistakes, the team will make mistakes, you will adjust, and that's what debottlenecking is for. That's what we do. And you will learn a lot, lessons. The key is to implement those lessons and doing better on the next project and the next and the next. Another lesson learned is make sure you have management and executive buy-in. If you're a project control individual and we receive those requests that you would like to introduce the advanced work packaging into your project, the numbering structure alone is not going to make it. You need the management to be on board with this, and even senior leadership to be on board with it. And the very first place to start is training. And as a matter of fact, when we do the training, we always get management involved And we also provide training to executives about advanced work packaging. The other element that I'd like to mention in lessons learned is timing. Timing is critical. Many AWP implementations fail because they start too late, and I've mentioned this already. And then the final one is really working with contractors. The intent is crucial in a way. So, the intent is crucial because advanced work packaging is not meant to be a contractual penalty. It's really important that you get everybody on board with it and see the benefit for them, what's in it for them, and get everyone to improve and succeed in that project. Step 2, consider, dependent on your case, a maturity assessment, where you would look basically at the planning, engineering, construction, and collaboration elements. And I would mention that an ideal maturity assessment should look at all areas of organizational and project delivery capacity, beginning well before AWP is adopted. And that's your best way actually to make things happen. Now, I'm gonna just add one key element around the maturity assessment. And most companies and most people inside the companies adopting advanced work packaging, those leaders, or let's say those champions, they could be anybody. There is no standard function to actually being a champion of advanced work packaging. You could be either a leader, a sponsor, a manager, but you could also be a scheduler inside the company, or a construction supervisor, or a procurement specialist. But you have that, let's say, feedback and that qualitative view looking into your organization, and you are able to articulate, let's say qualitatively, this could fit into our system. That's all it takes really for the champion to identify and start the conversation around this internally. Then when we move forward to a formal maturity assessment, that actually tends to help identify some of those gaps in a formal, of course, and expert methodology. But that is a good place to start to actually have the right conversation about which pilots to start with, which processes to upgrade first, what are the prerequisites we need, and are we well placed to succeed in the advanced work packaging implementation. Now, I will definitely mention that one of the, as a company, we have experts in change management, we are certified in change management, and we pay too much attention to what actually hinders success. And I can tell you from experience, there is nothing that undermines a transformation or an advanced work packaging implementation than leadership saying that they're on board with it, but not acting on what they say. And so it is very important sometimes to just go through this maturity assessment and become convinced basically of the case for advanced work packaging.